Hi friends, welcome to the Share Report. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. For all of you who are loyal, thank you so much for being here. Be sure to share this channel to get others involved, to become active citizens, to educate ourselves, because this channel is definitely very educational for us to know what we're up against and to be active citizens as well, because like I always say, it's imperative for our future, for our finances, for our health, our mental health, all the things. So lately in my last videos, I've been talking about a lot of amendments and things that are going to be on the 2024 ballot. My previous video, I was talking about two gentlemen that are running against Rick Scott in the Senate. Be sure to check that out. I gave as much information as was out there about these two candidates. I gave my personal viewpoints and all the things. It's really helpful. Be sure to look at that video and to share with others, especially if people are planning to vote here in the state of Florida, if you're new here in Florida, all the things. So this video, we are talking about Amendment 5, and I'm going to read that to you. Amendment 5, it provides an annual inflation adjustment for the value of the homestead property tax exemption. Okay, so this amendment is so important. If you are native here like myself, I'm a multi-generational Floridian. I have seen a lot of things over the last few years, a crazy influx of people coming through. I have seen property taxes skyrocket insanely for everyone, including myself. So you need to have your ears open for this. This amendment provides an annual inflation adjustment, because we know inflation's out there. No matter what they say, when I say they, those people who are living in a delusional world, when they say, well, inflation's not that bad, we're not in a recession, plug your ears, ignore them, because we are in a recession. We're almost in a depression. Inflation is insane. I mean, extremely insane. I mean, look, I went to go get some more water, and I like to refill our jugs sometimes. It used to be 35 cents to fill up a jug. Now it's 50 cents. You probably think, well, that's not too bad. Well, if I were to buy this off the shelf like this used to be $1 and some change. Now it is $2 and some change, okay? So inflation is definitely real. Okay, I'll give you another example. Anyone buy eggs for your family? Because I do. I buy eggs a lot because I eat a lot of eggs because I have to have extra protein. Eggs are insane. In the year of this year, eggs have increased 30% in inflation. It's not like the egg inside the egg has changed. No, okay? Things are rising. So as much as possible, we need to be aware and actually be for this bill. Now I'm going to break it down a little bit. I'm going to protect this egg because, like I said, it's expensive. All right, let's talk a little bit about this. So let's break it down. To vote yes for this bill, it supports an annual inflation adjustment to the amount of assessed value that is exempt from property taxation. If you vote no, vote opposes an annual inflation adjustment to the amount of assessed value that is exempt from property taxation. Now, housing has gone up extremely high as well. So if you're not familiar with homestead exemption, it basically knocks off percentages or money off of your property taxes. So give you an example. I'm going to include a pie chart in the next slide so you can see it there, but I'm just going to give you a little bit of a breakdown first. So let's say hypothetically there's no houses that I know in this neighborhood or any neighborhood in Florida that's $45,000 unless you live in a shed. I don't know. Nothing against living in a shed, but I don't know of any houses that are $45,000. This is just a hypothetical. Okay, so say you live and your house is assessed value for $45,000. The first $25,000 is exempt from taxation, knocking it down to $20,000. That's going to be taxed. So your property taxes are going to be off the assessed value of that leftover $20,000. So I'm going to insert the next slide to give you a more grander, bigger outline of some other things. So check out the next slide. Okay, so that pie chart pretty much broke it down for a house that is more expensive or assessed a little higher. I don't know of any houses even in the 100,000 mark either. That's how much housing has increased in the last 4 years because of supply and demand and so many people living here. So you're thinking, so yeah, so your property value is great, but your property taxes are sky high because of this. So you definitely want an adjustment for the cause of inflation. So here's what Amendment 5 would do. As of 2024 in Florida, property tax millage rates were set by counties, school districts, cities, and special districts. Homes in Florida are assessed at just value market or market value minus the homestead exemption. The homestead exemption reduces the taxable value of a property. Every primary residence, so it has to be your primary residence. It can't be like a rental, a bunch of rentals that you have. It has to be your primary residence, is eligible for a $25,000 homestead exemption, which exempts that amount from all taxes. Another 25 homestead exemption is applied on a homestead value between $50,000 and $75,000, which exempts that amount from all taxes except school district taxes, because you know all the things. So the amendment would provide for an annual inflation adjustment for the value of the homestead property tax exemption that applies to non-school taxes. The adjustment would be made every year, January 1st, based on the percent change in the consumer price index reported by the U.S. Department of Labor if the change is positive. Okay, so that is very good. So I did want to let you know the percentage of Democrats versus Republicans who are for this bill and who are against it, because not that I want to pit anybody against each other, but this really matters because there are some that were very much for it, and then there was a whole political party that was completely against it. So I'm going to read this to you. So the amendment was approved by the Florida House of Representatives in February of 2024. So we have to have at least 60% of the vote in order for it to even be considered and everything. So 86 representatives voting in favor and 29 representatives voting against. Among the House Democrats, 5 were in favor and 29 were opposed. Among House Republicans, 81 were in favor and none were opposed. So the whole group of Republicans, all 81 of them were, yes, we want this. None were opposed. But majority of the Democrats, 29 of them, were opposed of it. So that's how this got on the ballot for this year. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. It goes to talk a little bit about property taxes. That is something that I do want to remind you about. I do have a video about property taxes. I am very much for abolishing property taxes. But I did want to mention before we get there that I'm definitely in favor of supporting for annual inflation adjustment to the amount of assessed value that is exempt from property taxation. So definitely, as the sky goes high with the inflation, we need to adjust for it. So no matter what it is, this is a positive thing. This is good for us. That means less property taxes for homeowners. So this is a good thing. So one thing that I wanted to close this video on is about property taxes, and that is something that is coming up next year. There's doing a study right now to see about abolishing property taxes altogether. I talked about this. Ryan Chamberlain and Marco Rubio presented this. Ryan Chamberlain put it into action to do the study about it. Marco Rubio presented it a few years ago. I didn't know about this until recently, and it's like, bravo, because typically he doesn't do very much. So it's like, bravo for him. So very happy, wanted to show support and show credit where credit's due. So they are very much for abolishing property taxes. I am too. As you know, if you do not pay your property taxes within 3 years, your house that you paid for, you worked super hard for, can be taken from you. That really squishes the American dream. Why do you work so hard for your own home and not pay taxes on it? just for it to be taken from you. That should never be. Our founding fathers are probably flipping over in their graves, are even worse than that. They're probably screaming and thinking, what on earth are these people thinking? How did they get this far? So I'm very much pro abolishing property taxes. And I know a lot of people are like, well, what about the schools? What about the schools? Okay, listen to me. Look at the video that I did before. I will talk about this more, but I want you to keep this in the forefront of your mind. Okay, so for the county that I live in, I was educated on this, and it was a very good education. The property, or the county that I live in, for every student here, it is about $12,000 to $14,000 per student. Think about that. That's how much that is going towards each student, okay, to educate them. My nephew, he starts school this year. Okay, he goes to a private school this year. His tuition for everything is under $6,000. So put that into perspective. Okay, so he's getting great education. He's not learning about changing his gender or anything like that. He's going to learn, math and how to read and all the necessary things that he needs to know in life, and not be indoctrinated with a bunch of nonsense. So that is quite a bit of money going to one student just in my county. I can't even think what's happening in other counties. But I think there's a bunch of overspending for not great education. I think things need to be reeled in. So that's a little bit that I wanted to share about the property tax situation that's coming up, the study. Once that's on the ballot, once that's coming up, we need to be very much pro that, because having and owning your own property is the American dream. Not paying your taxes in 3 years is not the American dream, and your house can be taken from you. So we all need to think about things. There's a lot of aspects and avenues that I can go down with this. There's a video on that I'll expound later. This is mostly about the ballot with adjusting for inflation for the homestead exemption. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully that was educational. Be sure to share this video with other people and all the things. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll be back with another video. Thanks.